We are back with Patreon. Thank you for being a Patreon person.
Patreon's pretty groovy.
Yeah. Do you have a Patreon?
I don't.
You should have a Patreon.
But I love the idea. It's great.
These
days, all you need to do is just find your true fans, and it is amazing that people can kind of directly support what they love.
Yeah, I'm inspired by it because I have some friends who have like, and they're like, "Well, I get like $90 a month." I'm like, "That's amazing."
There's your groceries right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of ramen.
A lot. But yeah, it's really cool, and I think it in that theme of just kind of making things happen, which is what we were talking about. Of like, okay, cool, I'm gonna make this thing, I'm gonna make this thing, I'm gonna make this thing, and somebody's gonna like it.
Yeah.
The odds are in our favor.
Yes, it's true.
That like there's gonna be not 1 million people, probably.
1 million people, that's
a lot.
You're set, right?
But like,
you have 1 million fans.
There's 100.
100's
like,
great.
That's something. And I think about that too with like all these things that I'll publish or put out, and like put out a YouTube video and it gets like 600 views. Like a failure in all.
But then you're like,
I think going back to
but if I had 600 people in my apartment, it'd be
awesome.
It'd be quite a party.
What I think about that was like, because we have this like skewed thing of, I got 600 views on a YouTube video. Complete failure.
Right.
Is what we hit that. But like,
right.
If I had 600 people come to my show,
yeah,
that'd be the best juggling show ever.
Right.
That'd be more people than ever came to a juggling show before.
We're so obsessed with like likes and numbers and view counts, and we're so skewed about like reality because we're looking at like these these YouTube stars and people who every video they put out gets millions, and you're like, is it even? What's the point if there's not millions of people watching? But
right.
It's just about more views than the last video, eyeballs, but a lot of times it's just about for us. It's like putting myself out there or creating something and editing it and saying send, like this is complete is quite a thing. It's quite an accomplishment.
Something that is beneficial for me, and it'd be interesting to hear your stance on it, is I always think about this in the thing of like, somebody is seeing me, or me as in you or all of us, as the ultimate, like, oh, they did it.
Yeah.
Like everyone is somebody's hero, or like living their ultimate life.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this podcast, it means you have a phone or a computer or the internet.
Yeah.
Which means you're living someone's dream life who can't listen to a podcast. And the only person who can't say that is like the person who has the worst life in the world, or in like a dungeon that's trapped somewhere.
Or my dad, who doesn't know how to use anything but the phone app
and he's
on
doing
his
all right.
phone. But he's doing all right, but he doesn't know how to listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean so just
like
by being born in America, you've won the jackpot already. The fact that we're so lucky to have so many opportunities and like, just laid out for us. There are other great countries too, but just the fact that being born in America, where you're kind of raised to think that anything is possible, like you've won the lottery, and being able to do what you love to do, you've kind of already won the lottery. It's a struggle. Like there's so much. Obviously, everyone has like a pain and a battle that they don't show. But like, from the outside, just the fact that we're entertaining people and we're supporting ourselves with it is probably all we ever said we wanted to do as kids. Yeah. But we never really think about that. We're always moving on to the next thing. We never stop and kind of smell the bounty. Yeah.
And on the thing of comparing people, how do that never goes away? Like, because if you have your own TV show, you're gonna be like, "Wow, they got a better time slot," or they got featured more on Netflix's homepage or something. It's like, and then that person is like, "Oh, well, they got a second season, or they got a 7th season, and they got a 12th season." It's like, that's a game that you'll never win. It's like, whether you're on a TV show or you're comparing to social media, how do you battle that?
I don't know. I mean, because I'm sure Matt Damon's pissed that he didn't get that part that Brad Pitt got, who's pissed he didn't get a part that George Clooney got. I mean, like, but also that's the whole, you know, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, that friction causes them both to be better. Right. You know, which is great. And I think there is plenty of room at the top or at the middle or just at the self-sufficient. I mean, there's room for everybody, but I certainly haven't figured out how to combat that. Like yes, there may be some good that comes from the competition and the jealousy and just the striving to kind of one up one another. But it also like doesn't feel good while it's happening. Like right. it leads to sleepless nights and obsessing, and that's a part of it, I guess. I haven't figured out how to skip that step.
Well, that's great. It's in a way that's a great, just knowing that like everyone has that is valuable for everyone. Like at whatever level. And that's an interesting thing of like, there's movie stars who we're all looking up to or whatever, YouTube stars now. It's like, I have a few friends who are like super huge on YouTube, and it's like, they look like this major thing, and then I talk to them and like, I don't know, it's like this didn't really work out, and now it's like I don't know what I'm gonna do when this thing, and it's like, oh, there's no greener. Golden ticket, and there's no end.
There's no end. I mean, which I find a little reassuring. There's never like if I get that, then it's made, and I'll never complain again. Like there's no end. You know, even, you know, just the richest people in America, you know, our president, you know, obviously being a successful businessman wasn't enough. He needed more. And there's some people, you know, there is no end game. But I find like they're like finally making this show, the Netflix show, after kind of having trial and error of trying to, like, all I ever wanted was to create like, to, you know, like being inspired by Copperfield and Lance and Penn and Teller, like just to create a television magic show, to put out whatever my contribution is to magic is something I've always wanted to do. And I just had never gotten that chance. So just putting this thing out was a nice load off, being unattached to whether or not it does well or if nobody ever sees it, just to feel like I'm proud of what I did and I put this out there. Feels nice and it enables me to relax a little bit, and also has enabled me to be a little less like paranoid about people sneaking up, you know, behind me, you know, like the college magic game, especially when you're at a NACA and you're down the aisle from the people who they're deciding they're either going to book you or them. You know, we book a juggler every year. We book a magician every year. So you're like staring, you know, your competition's very apparent. And so you're constantly, it makes you never rest on your laurels. So it's like, all right, I'm going to keep up in my promo game. I'm going to make the show bigger and better. I'm going to, you know, promise more value. I'm going to do a teaser and this, you know, and it makes you a better performer. It makes you a better package, you know, and if it gets you the gig, then it means that you did a little, you know, you sold it a little better than the next guy. But it is also stressful and it's tiresome and never ends. So I do feel just as an artist that I kind of have a little bit of a small sigh of relief, and I'm a little less like, not jealous, but a little less kind of envious of the people who have gotten the opportunities that I was trying to get in years past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's inspiring for everyone.
I mean, if it's inspiring to know that it's always going to be a stressful grind, then good. Yeah.
Well,
to know that you're not unique in the fact that that it's not all like, that it doesn't feel as good as it looks for your competition. You know, oh man, they look like they don't go through this that I'm going through. Right. Just know that they do.
And then there's on the side of that being inspiring, if that is a bummer, knowing that, then it's like it's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean,
for you, like you're not going to you're not cut out for
because if you're like if you're committed to only enduring this as long as you need to until it's going to go away, it's not going to go away.
Right.
But I like the idea. Like for me, I don't want to be the most famous, successful magician. Like for me, I have found there's some kind of just nice coziness in being an underdog, you know, always having a little further to go. Like, I feel like once you kind of, like David Copperfield, I think he was hell-bent and obsessed on being the best, the greatest, the most successful, and he did that, you know? But I feel like then once you do that, what do? Yeah,
now what?
You either keep doing it and just try to fend off your your people behind you, or you kind of gracefully retire. And if that's not in your nature to like stop working, like what do you do? So I kind of like the idea of just kind of being this fun little, alt underdog. I hope I'm not just saying that to justify, not being the most.
Is
whatever.
That like a crutch that you're?
But I don't know.
I
kind of like now we live in this world where there's so many like media outlets and so many places to get content where if you get a certain number of fans who like you, you can tour and they will support what you do and pay to listen to your podcast and see your content and watch your shows. Like you don't need to be a super household name to be successful and create what you want. You might even be able to have more artistic freedom when you are a little more below the radar.
Right.
And I think that's awesome.
That's great.
Like Mark Maron's very inspiring to me in that just in the comedy world and in podcasting, like he created this little thing that is by nature, like it was below the radar out of his garage, just doing this thing. And he gets to he gets to call the shots of what that does. And he's got people who enjoy, that's success.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and before you couldn't do that when there were only 3 channels, we're growing up, we're like, Carson, you got to get on Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
If you're going to be famous, you have to do these certain things and you don't have to do those things anymore.
Yeah. It's a generic advice. And it's like, we used to, have to wait till somebody said yes. Mm-hmm. And now, it's like, same thing. It's like when I was a kid, if somebody told me I could do this, like this is a recording studio.
Yeah, you're going to have a studio in your home.
These cameras are perfectly fine for, where this is going on YouTube and Instagram, and there's lights up here and there's a whole thing. I'm like, no, this can't. It's going to cost a couple $1,000s.
Right.
There's no way. Like that can't. Right. That's not real. And it literally gets distributed around the world is like impossible. And now sometimes I think we forget that. Like this is possible.
It's true.
Just go out there and
I'm
make
sure
stuff
you feel
happen.
the same way as a juggler. Would you call yourself a juggler or a entertainer? You're a variety artist.
I try not to do juggler because it has the... you do
a little bit of everything in your show. You do magic in your show.
Live theater performer is my thing.
I like that.
And then it's like, oh, cool. That for some reason it gives it more credibility or something. Like people are like, oh yeah, how honorable. Like juggler, like okay, go back to your corner,
right?
Juggler.
But like what we do is like we do. For me, it boils down to like card tricks. I get to see the world. I'm doing card tricks.
Yeah.
Like it's so preposterous. Like it's crazy, and it's crazy that. That although I try to be grateful and live a life of gratitude, like, you can't do that all day, every day. You kind of gotta get shit done, but like it's crazy that it's crazy we get to do what we do. And I think we need to at least once a day, wake up and look in the mirror and just remember like, this was all I wanted,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. We're very lucky.
Wherever you are right now, we'll repeat that thing. Wherever you are right now, you're living somebody's dream life. And it's probably your dream life from a year or 5 or 10 years ago. So remember that.
That's true.
You are literally living your own dream life wherever you are. And that's that. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful.